Second grade is a fun one. Welcome back. This is our What Do You Use For series. We're taking a look at what we do for homeschool in the different grades, different curriculums and activities that we end up using for our kids. I am really glad you're here. My name is Melissa. I'm a homeschooling mom of four, work from home online teacher and digital creator. And I am really excited that you're here with us. Today, we're taking a look at second grade. Again, second grade is kind of fun because this is where a lot of kids are beginning to read pretty well. There are still some things to iron out, of course, and every kid and family is different. So what you hear me share about today works for our family, and I would love for you to use it too if it works. But just be a fly on the wall here, and if you'd like, take a look at what we do for second grade. Let's get started. So as I've said, if you've watched any of the previous videos in this little series, you will know that I am sharing what we're doing in our homeschool. That said, this is not prescriptive. What I'm going to refer to in this video happens to be second grade. As I've mentioned in other videos, grades are kind of subjective. So if this is your kiddo who's kind of reading pretty well and they've moved past that initial learning to read phase, and we're getting more into a little bit of grammar, a little bit of spelling, a little bit of writing, and some bigger books, shall we say? That's kind of where we're at. This could be ages 6, 7, 8, 9. Around that age is typically when we see that, but of course, there are exceptions. Second grade is kind of where we start reading to learn instead of learning to read. You catch that? So kids are going to be opening up bigger books, going to be exploring a little bit more, and going to be excited to put their new skills to use. So here's what our day looks like. Now, this is going to be pretty similar to my fourth graders' day, but of course with some modifications. So we start the day with oatmeal. Here's our oatmeal recipe. It's just overnight oats. I work from home in the early morning hours, so my husband does math and breakfast with the kiddos. I prepare those oatmeals the night before, leave them in the fridge. Kids know how to pop them in the microwave and eat while they work on math. Now, similar to other grades, we use Horizons from Alpha and Omega Publishers, AOP, for math. And we've loved these books. They're reasonably priced. And we like the fact that they allow us to have a conversation about math. So we can talk about what this array is showing or what this word problem is talking about. And we can kind of have a conversation around that. We did not want math to be a box checking exercise or a really frustrating thing that would cause a ton of tears. No, don't get me wrong. We still have our fair share of tears when it comes to math, but there is a little bit more of a conversation aspect to it. And it's not just workbook after workbook, that sort of thing. After math, our second grader actually has something taped to the back of his chair. This is because we're working on some executive function skills. In second grade, they're kind of getting past that. Here's what we're doing next. Here's what we're doing next, having things served up to them. Okay, so I actually have a little to-do list taped to the back of his chair so that he has a little bit more choice in what he's doing. Now, there may be moments when that choice gets put into an order outside of his control because of what his siblings are doing. But here's the general gist of what he's doing. After he finishes math, he's going to move on to his computer work, which usually includes something like French. We use something called TV Monde. Just kind of like PBS, if you're familiar with that, but in French. So there are little 10-minute animated clips that they can watch in French, and it just helps get their brains thinking in French a little bit every day. This also includes Freckle. These are practice problems, some reading comprehension with little quizzes, and it's all gamified, of course, so they get points and things like that. They also do a little bit of extra math in second grade. Extramath.org is a great, again, gamified way for them to get that extra math practice in. That's not something I need to be seated there for. It's just a quick thing that they know how to log on and do. Now, I will make a note, when our kids hop on the computer, on our browser, we've got those bookmarks at the top. That bookmark bar is fantastic. And you can actually shorten the titles so that only the favicon, word of the day, that little logo that represents the website is showing. And our kids can recognize those favicons. And so they know, this is the extra math favicon. This is the freckle favicon. They also end up doing a little bit of National Geographic kids at this point as well. Just a fun thing. And they know that each of these are timed. So if they finish their work on freckle and extra math, they are welcome to hop onto National Geographic Kids for 12 minutes, and they set a timer. After that, then we're getting into language arts. So language arts, we use The Good and the Beautiful. Again, affordable. I buy one copy for our family and make copies of the pages that are consumable. So the things that we need to write on, I'll just pop it over on the scanner, make a quick copy, and bring it back. This has worked really well for our family and has kept our costs down. I love these because, again, it's a conversation thing. And if we're rolling and we get through 2 lessons a day, that's great. If we get through half of a lesson a day, that's fine. If we need to step away and do something else because I've noted something in his writing or in his reading comprehension that's just a little bit wonky and we can step away from that and work on that focus area, that's fine too. So there are definitely a lot of flexible things that we can do in our homeschool, which I hope, no matter what curriculum you're using, I hope you're being flexible and taking advantage of those things that we can provide our kids when they need the help to kind of sidestep the curriculum and pinpoint those areas that they need help with. So language arts, I sit down with him and do one-on-one. We also have some reading. So this is 30 minutes of reading on their own. Now to do this, we use something called Epic, or we use the Libby app. So Epic and Libby are fantastic for this. Libby is connected to your US Public Library card. So if you have one, fantastic. If not, maybe ask a friend or a family member because they're probably not using their card. So they could get a card for you and share that with you. Also Epic, as a homeschooler, I created our school, and we have access to that during school hours. So that ends at 3 p.m. Eastern. But throughout most of the day, they've got access to that. So they read for 30 minutes, and then our second grader comes back and writes 2 sentences about what he wrote. A quick and easy kind of comprehension check. We might talk about it for a second, but it's not anything super big. It's just another chance for him to get writing. In addition to that little book report check-in, we do a writing, and we're a bilingual homeschool, so we do bilingual writing here. So according to the grade that they're in, our kids tend to write sentences, so in this case, 2 sentences for second grade in English, and then they translate those to Spanish. Now, this is just a really simple way for us to get writing in English and Spanish and some indirect grammar. I don't want to sit them down and do these kind of boring lessons. I want us to talk about proper nouns in English and in Spanish. Oh, wow. In English, we capitalize the month, but in Spanish, we don't. Or, hey, this person is name. How do we translate a name? Well, it's probably going to be the same. There are some exceptions there, but the idea is that we're having these conversations, and by giving it an open kind of floor for them to choose what they want, that's a really good way to keep them motivated. Now, what about the days when they're not motivated, Melissa? What do we do then? Well, I've got a little bit of a help for you there. I went through this and I created something to help with our family as we were going through this. It's a prompt journal. So if you'd like to pick that up, I'll link that below. This prompt journal allows you to print or use the digital version. So if you got a kiddo who likes to type, our kids love that. It's kind of like a little treat. If they're, doing well, blazing through the rest of the work and they want to type instead of write, fine, go for it. That's a really good way to keep them motivated as well. So if you're at a loss for what to tell them to write, or they don't know what to write, or they want some help coming up with a topic, that prompt journal is in there and the writing space is already provided for you. Taking a look at book reports and language arts and reading. I've got my little cheat sheet here so I don't miss anything. We usually get into a piano lesson as well. We love Hoffman Academy around here. Their free YouTube channel is great. We also have used their premium service. And so we use the games on there. There are printable workbooks, sight reading, music sight reading workbooks. So those are really great to have on hand as well. And I tend to print out those worksheets as kids progress through the online lessons. So our second grader will do one of those as well. Twice a week, we have French class with our online teacher on Preply. You can get 70% off your first lesson using the link in the description if that's something you're interested in. But Preply is just a big marketplace of language teachers, any language. So you can hop on there and kind of choose your language, filter by price, and see what tutors come up. But we've had really good experiences with the teachers that we've worked with on there. Our second grader started French right when he began reading in English and Spanish well. That's kind of my indicator that they're ready to take on another language. And he's really enjoying that. And he does the writing in French as well. His French teacher will give him assignments for homework after class. So he'll spend about 30 minutes in class and then about 30 minutes on the homework after each class, doing some writing in their shared Google Doc. So something to keep in mind, that you can then weave in writing in another language if your child is learning a new one. After French, we've also got just playtime. Remember, these are young kids and they need a good amount of playtime, a healthy dose of play. So our second grader loves to finish his work quickly. It doesn't always happen, but he will verbalize, hey, I just really want to finish because I want to go play with this, or I want to go make this. Great. Let's focus and get this done. Again, another reason why I've got that to-do list taped on the back of his chair so that he can be in charge of making his progress. I often have him reflect, whose choice is this? Whose choice is this that we're not getting our things done as quick as we want, or that we're getting distracted by another toy? What choices could we make? So asking those questions is really important here, because we're forming the habits that will make third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade a little bit easier by starting in second grade and giving them a little bit more ownership over what they're working on. Now we're getting to the middle of the day. We've got lunchtime, and we read our devotionals before lunch with a little bit of scripture memory. So we read Louis Giglio's Indescribable and How Great Is Our God. We have them in English and Spanish, so we kind of alternate once we've gone through them all, but they've got fun science facts in there, which sometimes bling, turns on a little light bulb and makes them want to try something new, learn something new, ask a big question. A lot of times those big questions get answered with a Nearpod or a Nearpod lesson or a vocabulary video. Our kids know how to manage those links, and you are welcome to check out the playlist that I have on Nearpod here. But it's just a really fun way for me to be able to give them the ownership and discovery piece of their learning by using something really cool and helpful. All right, so after lunch, usually our second grader helps to clean up his own plate, and he actually still takes a nap. If he doesn't sleep, it's usually because he's reading something in his room. He loves comic books, things like Foxtrot and Zits. We get those from our library. So he'll either rest or take a nap, but that usually lasts about an hour and a half, and then we're ready to go to our sports activities in the afternoon. Pretty much every day, Monday to Friday, we do a sport. Sometimes my husband and I, who work from home, our work schedules prevent us from going, but usually this happens in the afternoons. They come home, they have dinner, they work on ukulele, another piano lesson, and reading the Bible. Now, for our older kids, they read a chapter of the Bible, but for our younger kids, at this age in second grade, when they're reading, but not a ton, this is where we do a proverb a day. Now, if you're not familiar, the Bible has a book called Proverbs, Wise Sayings, Wisdom, and there are 31 of them. And so it matches up really well. So if today is the 10th, they're going to read Proverbs 10. Kind of a fun connection. And again, it's a pretty short read usually. And so they're able to work through that. Then we pray together and head to bed. So this is our second grader's day. Now, I do want to mention a few of the books that our second grader loves, and our past second graders who are now a little bit older have loved books like Junie B. Jones, Boxcar Children, The Magic Tree House. We've also loved, let's see, there are a lot of good comic books, but also a lot of the DK readers are kind of fun because they can give a little bit of a deeper look into different topics. And now that they're reading a little bit more fluently, it's not as much of a slog to get through. Like I mentioned before, they're not learning to read, they're reading to learn. They really want that knowledge. And those DK readers are kind of a fun way to do that. So again, another option for your growing, budding reader. But this is just our day in the life of second grade. And I hope that your day is filled with some discovery and fun and freedom as kids are growing in their learning journey. If this was helpful, let me know what you're using for second grade. I would love to hear if we've got some of the same stuff or some different things. I'm always trying to learn and glean as well. We do have one more kiddo who has not gone through second grade, so I'm always adding things in for her. But no matter where you are in your journey, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. If nobody's told you yet today, thank you for what you're doing. That's really important. Happy teaching.